Hi, we are live with our one viewer, Nerdy Rodent. Thank you, Nerdy. You validate us.
Tobin's out there too.
Oh, Tobin is too? Okay.
Nice.
Anyway, okay. So, business. Sunday at, I guess, 1 p.m. in the one true time zone, Central Time. I'm gonna be on, at least I'm gonna be on Kentucky Atheist talking about drugs and recovery and the intersection with religion, which I might do a little prep for because I want to go over a program started in Minneapolis here called Teen Spirit. And the name Spirit, yeah, it's fucking pretty much indicates what's going on there. I would love to carve them a new asshole because, God, I hate fucking programs like that.
What a coincidence, though, Mike, because I was just listening to a song from Frank Sinatra about Teen Spirit.
Isn't like Nirvana?
Yeah.
Did Nirvana? Oh, that was a Frank Sinatra cover.
It was based on it. Like they didn't actually like copy it over. No.
Okay, so Nirvana didn't cover a Frank Sinatra song.
No, I wouldn't call it a cover. No, they didn't do that.
Okay. That's David Lee Roth, isn't it? That's Life.
Oh yeah.
That's Frank Sinatra.
Pragmatic Crystal is here, and I don't know who else. Anyway, that should be an interesting and really powerful and timely discussion because I'm telling you, there are a lot of people that don't believe in this spirit bullshit that end up not being able to find a recovery program that matches them or feels comfortable to them. And that has got to change. I mean, that has really got to change. And AA is doing their part to change that because they do recognize agnostic groups, they call them. The only requirement they have is that you don't change the 12 steps. You say God as I understand them, But
that's a problem for a lot of support groups, even that have nothing to do with that, like domestic abuse support groups, for example.
Yep.
It's hard to find one that isn't basically run by and overrun by religious people with religious themes.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I just finished a book called Midnight Waters about psychedelics and therapy, which is like one of the hottest items in psychology right now today, is bringing psychedelics of all sorts into these therapeutic as therapeutic tools. They finally found a wrench where they can go and take your oil pan off and do some tinkering, right? Psychedelics. However, even the person that wrote this book was talking about past lives and all kinds of fucking woo bullshit, communicating with the dead, the spirits telling them, all these, like, just all this fucking stuff, and they're gonna fuck it up. They're gonna somehow, and there's gonna be a fight between the Christian groups and the Buddhist groups, and and it's just on and on and on.
Yeah.
We just don't need this. We don't need this religion shit.
Nope.
At all.
Don't forget about Big Pharma.
What's that?
Don't forget about Big Pharma. I mean, there's going to be a move to regulate things.
Oh, yeah, that's the other. Yeah. So what's going to happen is the therapy people are going to fuck it up, and Big Pharma is going to come in and take it over, and they're going to get legislation and all kinds of stuff, to keep it illegal. They're going to try to patent it. They're going to genetically modify even the mushrooms so that they can sue people in case they happen to get a spore that has their genes in it. And right now, there's billions of dollars in venture capital going into this already. So you know they're getting ready to pounce on this whole industry. And it's going to be something else.
Yeah.
Psychedelics, they do something to your brain. There are no spirits, although because you ingested chemicals, you may sometimes think you see some. Yeah. That pretty much says it all. Like these
Well,
fucking
the show's over. Thank you, Nerdy.
yeah. These fucking DMT people, right? They all get I mean, they smoke this drug that just melts their entire fucking sense of reality down in 5 minutes. And they all get together and they see these mechanoid robots, and then they talk about them and everybody starts to see them because when you close your eyes on psychedelics, you get these amazing pattern recognition things. Like you can see patterns that are just the most beautiful thing in the world. And there's these beautiful, what do they call them? Fucking machine elves. Yeah, they see these machine elves, right? And they've all seen enough of them that they actually believe they're all looking at something from another dimension. And I'm like, okay, step away from the fucking DMT pipe, and just fucking.
Oh, Mike, are you not a fan of DMT?
I am not a fan of DMT now.
Why not?
One toke over the line, sweet Jesus.
Yeah, one toke over the line. It's way too disassociative, and it's very short acting unless you mix it with an MOAI inhibitor. And I guess if you were to medically make a concoction, it would be a powerful tool. But like LSD is like a long, slow trip. And somebody told me this back in 1972. They said LSD is like a long, slow trip. And DMT is like being shot out of a cannon. And I'm like, nope, don't want to do that.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like, don't need no cannon shooting me out. And it's, I don't know, but then everybody's going to find their therapy drug, right? And like some people like MDMA, other people crash so badly from it that to them it's an addictive drug and it's very much like speed. Now psilocybin and LSD are non-addictive, non-toxic at any level, and I just think they're better. But I'm a bigot, so.
Wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't fuck with DMT, especially if you're just starting out. If you're a novice tripper, I might take it if it were made available to me, just to have this subjective experience and try to develop an opinion about it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I heard one time there was a project where they were combining DMT and electromagnets, and they were able to create a field that affected part of the brain that created a very, very real sensation that there is people or entities present that aren't there, and
Right.
it worked on every single person they tried it on.
well, that tells you right there that it's physical.
Yeah.
Literally nothing spiritual going on there.
I've seen studies like those, James, where they could basically replicate the feeling of somebody there or a god there. It's the same feeling of look over your shoulder. There's nobody there.
Yeah.
Your brain's telling you, there's somebody there.
So I would be really interested in reading that research, James, if you run into it again.
Yeah, I'll look for it.
I suppose I could Google it.
Possible.
But anyway, because I'm really interested in what part of the brain would be involved in visualizing other individuals.
Yeah, I don't know if they actually saw them, they just felt their presence, a sense of certainty that somebody was there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I believe we would be very, evolutionarily, it pays off to be very sensitive to that, because if somebody's there, then they could kill you. And if you're wrong about somebody being there, the worst thing that can happen is you're still alive.
Just he ran away and got a little exercise.
Yeah. Other than maybe you kill the wrong person somehow because of your alarm, but being very sensitive, there's the equipment that we have to feeling the presence of others, whether they're there or not, should probably be very sensitive, because
Yeah.
Others being there is very, very crucial to our survival.
Fight or flight.
Yep.
I just read a whole book about that. But okay, here's the machine elves. Let's see, is that one right there? No. What the hell? What did I click on? What did I click on? Where's a good machine elf? I'm trying to get it really. This is a really good example right here. Now that's the kind of imagery when you close your eyes on psilocybin or LSD or DMT. This is the kind of imagery that you get. And like if you stare off at the woods and you fuzz your eyes a little bit, you'll start to see faces come forward. And it's always faces, you know. I mean, it always turns into some kind of a demonic face thing. And these people believe that these goddamn things are real. That one is a really good one. This one is like non-random ribbons. That's the shit you see. And so if you want to believe that you're actually identically looking at some kind of a being, good luck, son. You're
Well, I think that's a way to diagnose people as being strange, because to quote the great doctor and neurologist Jim Morrison, people are strange when faces come out of the rain.
Yep.
So
when you're a stranger, faces look ugly. When you're
it's like maybe he knew something before we did.
Yep, that's a really good one right there. That's a pretty good example of what kind of shit you see. Or this, you know, you'll get these patterns and sometimes they're just like. And the other thing is when you listen to music, the music becomes patterns because the parts of your brain, your audio and visual processing get crossed over because of the way psychedelics lock into your 5-HT2A or serotonin receptors, and they manage to take this layer of the brain that's in charge of communicating between different areas, and they will smear one into the other, so you think you're seeing what you hear, and you get a pretty incredible effect when you listen to music and all these shapes start dancing. Pretty neat. Anyway.
I'm just not imaginative enough. I never really saw anything.
If you closed your eyes,
I'd see trails. I would see trails because your eyes are out of sync.
Yeah, either close your eyes or else fuzz your focus. You know, when you're looking at the woods or something like that, and you will start to see shit. I mean, it's pretty easy to lift off into it.
I did see myself blink in the mirror. That is weird. That is weird. You can see your own eyes closed. That is weird.
Oh, wow. Anyway, okay. Onward. So this is Mr. Deity. And I better link Mr. Deity in my description. But he was talking about why I don't debate. Let me back up one here. Let's see.
That's just not for me. I'm happy to let them have the last word. But there's a deeper, more weighty reason I don't respond to people like Michael. It's the same reason I don't debate folks playing for the other team. I don't and simply can't take any of these people seriously. And by these people, I mean anyone who thinks they know anything about the supernatural realm. The superheroes and villains who allegedly inhabit this realm, and what these superheroes and villains do and want. Oh, and let's not forget the superpowers they allegedly possess. I mean, really? Come on, I get it. I do. I grew up here in America where the entire culture has been soaking in this religious nonsense forever. So it's difficult even for non-believers like myself to step back and realize that these folks are no different from the people who spend their lives obsessed with Bigfoot, fairies, a flat earth, or aliens probing Uranus. The planet, of course. And I'm not talking
Let's be easy on Bigfoot there, Mr. Deity.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, I mean, and he's right about this. We're so immersed in this that we seldom step back and look at these beliefs for what they are. And when I look at them, it's the same as Santa Claus. It's absolutely no different than believing in Santa Claus for your entire life. and we don't step back because so many of us believe this bullshit. It's just unbelievable how we just accept it as normal. I mean, we go to the store with
Ricky Gervais says that. Imagine a bunch of grown adults walking around believing in Santa Claus. Just imagine that.
I mean, we let these people fucking give our kids shots and babysit for our kids, for Christ's sake. It's like, what the fuck? And they're kind of insane. I just don't understand. Oh, let's see. We got Tobin, we got Doorknob Head, we got John Hudson.
I think it's Sam Harris that says religion is society's accepted mental illness.
Oh, shit, Dave. I forgot to pair your stuff. Where are you here? Oh, come on.
It's up there, Mike. I see everybody. I see Tobin and John and Robin.
I'm trying to find your live. Oh, there you are, live. Yeah. No, I didn't start capturing your chat.
Oh, okay.
So I missed it. God damn it. That's too bad. Anyway, well, capturing on, I don't know. Anyway, I have to merge the two together to get a,
gotcha.
good list or whatever. I like to capture all the chat so I can look at it. Anyway, so I linked that in the description. This is pretty good. Oh my goodness. Do you remember this debate?
It was legendary, wasn't it?
It was legendary.
I sent Leo a direct message and I said, Leo, you did a good job. You were prepared. You were civil. You were a gentleman among the mess at DEBATECON. I said, thank you.
He wasn't as calm on the second day when he started talking about politics.
He was a little juked on the coffee. Did you see? He said, I shouldn't have had that second mocha or something because he was. Yeah. If you see, he's a little jittery, and I think his knee was going because he looked like he was shaking.
Yeah. But he really did a good job. But anyway, so I thought we'd take a look at this guy's opening. What do you think? This Mr. Hernandez. Huh?
Let's.
You wanna?
Let's do it.
Proceed, good sir.
I'm gonna do it.
Well, on you, my friend. All right, so I'd like to first thank James and Modern Day Debate for the invitation and to Leo for participating in this debate. Now, the question for this debate is, does the soul exist? And I want to start by giving you two things this debate is not. To begin with, this debate is not a scientific question, and this is the case for a few reasons. First, to say otherwise would be a category fallacy. The soul, if it exists, would be a non-physical entity, and science, by definition, is a discipline that can only study the physical. Thus, while science is a wonderful tool for investigating the physical world, it has nothing to say about the non-physical. In fact, science in principle cannot even ask the question, much less answer it. And some of the world's leading neuroscientists, such as the late Nobel Prize winner John Eccles, Jeffrey Schwartz, and Mario Beauregard, all believe in the soul, and one can't say they believe in the soul because they don't understand the neuroscience, given that these are some of the world's leaders in neuroscience. Moreover, any view regarding the nature of consciousness or the soul, be it...
Okay.
I mean, I have problems with what he's saying already.
I do, yeah.
Depends on your definition of a soul. I say a soul is akin to karma. It's who you are, and it's a product of the brain. So I think that, it depends on how you define a soul.
Right. He's trying to define it for everybody there. Like he's the authority on what it must mean and what it must be.
Well, he's begging the question because the whole issue is whether or not science can explain consciousness, right? Whether it can explain our subjective experience. And he's saying, no, it can't because soul. So he's begging the question. He's putting forth his position and claiming that there is this something that lives above science that science can never understand.
Yeah, once you put it outside the reach of science, like entirely, like categorically, emphatically, then at that moment, you're delegating it to a realm of imagination where you get to imagine anything that you want to, and nobody can disprove you because they can't disprove your imagination.
Yeah, it's not just outside the realm of science, it's outside the realm of any ordinary experience or anything that the way that we basically understand the world around us and navigate in the world around us. It puts it beyond that. So he's begging the question. he's offering his thing as existing and claiming, oh, you can't use science to argue with me.
Right.
It's the same as God did.
Now,
Disprove my claim that I can't provide any evidence.
Yeah. Now he's going to go on and he's going to offer introspection data, right? Like things that we can figure out by thinking about our thinking. So we're going to use our thinking to explore our own thinking, which should be a clue right there.
Yeah.
That's something that's gone off the rails. I mean, if we're going to use our own minds to try to fucking get an idea about what our minds are, and we don't know what our minds are yet, but yet we're going to use our minds to get an idea what our minds are. So when you do that, you're doing that with mind stuff, right? Whatever mind stuff is. You're trying to understand mind stuff with mind stuff. It's like, is there a physical analogy where, I don't know. That is the big confusion, okay? And I call that the currency of consciousness, basically, or the currency of introspection. And what I mean by currency, it's not current or not, it's not, I'm not talking about time. I'm talking about money or, an exchange, a medium of exchange, right? And so everything we understand about ourselves, our own selves internally, is done with the same stuff that understands things at all, anywhere. So we're using mind currency. We're using a particular kind of something about us to understand itself, and it tends to be very circular, right? So your mind stuff is always going to feel like mind stuff because everything feels like fucking mind stuff, right?
Right.
And they say, oh, well, because there's nothing outside of you and because I can't see what's going on in your mind right now, you guys, there's obviously something that isn't physical because I can't see it happening. That's kind of the deal.
Yeah.
Anyway. And it's a real interesting trick that we play on ourselves when we think about our own minds. And it's an evolved trick. Basically evolution helped us for a number of reasons to think about our minds the way we think about our minds. And he's right, that ain't science. That ain't scientific at all. Anyway.
I often say music soothes my soul. I feel completely different when I listen to music. I get so lost in music. It's one of those great escapes.
Yep.
But it's completely physical. I am hearing it. My brain's interpreting it. It's stirring up the memories and everything that go along with it. It's purely physical. Every part of it is physical.
I totally agree with Midnight on this.
What Midnight say?
Speed is the best man ever. Totally agree with him.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a philosophical position. Anyway. Okay.
So, real quick, supernatural is nothing. He lost the debate the moment he decided to invoke supernatural.
Yeah.
Supernatural isn't a thing. It's not even a concept. It is a placeholder for a concept that the speaker does not actually possess. So, which means he's got a box with nothing in it.
Right.
As his evidence. You can't look in the box. There's nothing there. So, no, the moment he did that, he tied his hands. Now, if he'd have done research on the history of the soul, like why people originally thought that there was a soul, you see it's a progression of ideas, and that what modern Christianity has done with it is bastardized. It does not stay true to the older ideas of soul. Everything that they do with supernatural is a reinvention of ideas. None of it's true to the original ideas presented in their own Bible. None of it is.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Oh, I'm trying to find the book. There's a new book by J.P. Moreland called, J.P. Moreland, Theistic Evolution. What is his new one called, J.P. Moreland? I forget. Understand. Anyway, everything that he says came from J.P. Moreland's books. Like, Hernandez hasn't done any research outside of any of that shit. That amounts to a hill of beans. and it's pretty amazing. Hidden Spring. What books do I have here? I got a million books.
Does Hernandez have any credentials, any expertise?
Yeah, he's a seminary graduate, PhD.
Is he?
Let's see, the 2023 book is The Substance of Consciousness.
Okay, got it.
There's also another one, What is the Soul? And that's the only two that look familiar that came up. Now there's one called The Soul. I don't know what year.
There's also Body and Soul, which was the first one that he went for.
Yeah.
But basically, this is, let's see here, PTFS. This is Substance of Consciousness, and there's pretty much the playlist for. I'm not sure how much of this I had highlighted. I thought I had highlights on here somewhere. Oh, yeah. Okay, starting here. The real nature of introspection arguments for substance dualism. This is all where Hernandez got his shit, right here.
Well, his book isn't really examining the nature of consciousness. It's saying consciousness is a substance that makes up a portion of nature.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah, that would be substance. Yeah. Or yeah, and the portion of nature that Hernandez thinks it makes up is the spiritual portion or the God portion, right? Because he's a theist. So he's a religious guy. Anyway, okay, let's go a little further in his opening. He's going to suggest that neuroscientists, he's got neuroscientists confirming what he believes.
Dualism, my view, or physicalism, Leo's view, will be what is called empirically equivalent, meaning that there is no piece of empirical data that one could give that would specifically lend support to one view over the other. Put differently, Leo and I will agree on all the empirical data.
Yeah, the reason for that is that there is no empirical evidence for a soul or anything supernatural or spiritual. So if you add on the soul as supernatural, or, you can claim that anything that happens, like I could claim that my mouse here on my mouse pad is because of supernatural things, right? It doesn't add anything. So it's something over and above what we can empirically find. So that's why he feels like he's on secure ground. Because the two, I mean, anything, you can come up with a story that involves God and the soul to explain anything. Or you could go out and do a bunch of experiments and explain it from 20 different angles. It's like radioactive dating, right? The reason we believe in it, or radiometric dating, the reason we believe in it is because you can do entirely different kinds of radiometric dating and they all agree. They intersect. And they wouldn't do that if it weren't true, basically. They'd be all over the place. I mean, if God made it up, there's no reason for them all to intersect. But of course, they can say, oh, God made them intersect. So anyway, he can add anything he wants at this point. So he's setting it up that way. That's kind of
I wish we could just skip to the part where he says this and this are aspects or properties of the soul that can't be explained.
Oh yeah, we'll
potentially by anything empirical.
We're looking at his opening, so we'll get there.
Data, but our conclusions drawn from the data will be philosophical in nature and not scientific. This is because the questions surrounding tonight's debates are philosophical questions about metaphysics, not science. And as atheist philosopher of science Michael Roux says, science does not ask certain questions, so it is to no surprise that it does not give certain answers. So appealing to science to answer the question tonight would be like appealing to a ruler to measure your weight. It is simply the wrong tool for the assessment. Second, this debate is not about the...
Unless Leo was right, unless physicalism is right, then it is exactly the tool for the assessment.
Yeah, he has to prove
so what does he do?
Properties of the soul can't
right
be measured or be explained scientifically. Not that it isn't.
Yeah, and he explains how elephants aren't 9 inches long. a little later on, I think. We'll see.
Right. Another thing that strikes me really quick before we move on. If somebody was selling snake oil from a wagon and somebody else came up and said, I'm going to disprove your claims, I'm going to prove that none of this is real, the arguments that the snake oil salesman would use are exactly the arguments that Hernandez is using. He's making it to where it's not falsifiable as a foundation to the claim, so that now no matter what you say, well, it didn't help that person. Well, that person didn't have enough faith, and this is only made of water. But it's holy water, right? And it's been blessed. And physics doesn't work that way. Here's a bunch of doctors saying so. But this is a special kind of physics from a magical realm, right? You can just place it outside of reach of every single disproof. That's all that he's doing here.
Yeah. You can use a ruler to figure out your weight. If you measured every part of your body and you pretty much know the density of, average density of the human body, you probably could get a pretty accurate version of your weight. You just need to do a lot of measuring, right?
Yeah.
It also depends upon the level of precision you're looking for.
Yeah, I've tried to measure my belly fat, and it's a bitch.
I've tried tape measure. I've tried the calipers.
Yeah, I feel you. I got to put on my belt with a boomerang.
Hey, I tell you, bada bing. But you never really know your body fat percent. Even the methods they use, unless you're going to basically take a person and burn them up in some sort of flame, you're not going to be able to tell their body fat.
Yeah. Yep. Back during the pandemic, I was using my belt as a wristband.
Yeah.
It's the only thing it worked for. Okay.
The correlations between the mind and brain. Well, there's much to say here, and I'll touch more on this later. Suffice to say that no dualist denies correlations. But again, we can get to that in our interaction. Well, let's start with the definition. What is the soul? The soul is an immaterial substance that possesses consciousness and animation.
I guess before we go on, we want to note that little thing about correlation does not imply causation, right? So he said no dualist will deny correlation because we've done so many measures on the brain and correlated it to subjective experience that he has to say, oh, you can't attack me on that either because it's just correlation. I mean, it's like, there was, somebody threw a ball through my window, and I see a little kid out there with his arm still, doing the follow through. And it's like correlation does not imply causation, right? So it can't be the little kid. Couldn't possibly be him that threw the ball through the window, right? I mean, that's pretty fucking weak because correlation often is the cause of things. Most things that we see in the world, okay, the cause is correlated to what we're seeing, what we're observing, right? But no, he's saying that, no, that's not evidence at all. And I don't think he understands what evidence is.
Well, see, I would have just at least laughed out loud when I heard him say the soul is the immaterial substance.
Yeah.
It's you might as well say the visible invisibility.
Right. That's exactly a great point, actually.
It's just ludicrous. I mean, it's nonsense language.
It is nonsense language. I want to give a shout out real quick to Logan Fisher and Jay from Hunter Biden's Laptops is in here today.
Hunter, that is Leo. That really is Leo. Yep. Oh, Hunter Biden is here?
I've never seen him quiet for so long. Okay.
How big is? I bet his channel is really big now. I bet he's got like thousands of followers by now. Hunter.
Yeah, 1.2K. Didn't we say?
I don't know. I bet it's a lot.
Oh, let's see. Where's he? We could check. We could check. If I had a
let's snoop on Jay's numbers.
Let's snoop Jay.
Yeah. What the fuck? Okay, here's Hunter Biden's laptop.
I am 225 views away from 10,000 views. That's pretty awesome.
Wow, really?
Great.
Wait, what's Hunter Biden's view count then? He must have like a lot of.
No, on Hunter Biden's laptops, he's only got like 150 subscribers. But
try Pocket Locker 86.
yeah, right.
Oh, okay, yeah. Different one. And he's also got what's the name of the other channel?
The game channel or something like that.
I don't know. Does he still keep the game channel going? He might. He used to. That was the casino one.
He's got only 784. I thought he would have had like a couple thousand by now. And you know,
getting up there though.
That's still a lot. Like we're never gonna see it.
Yeah, it was just like 100, like not too long ago. He's got up there.
Yep.
Hot topic. It's hot. Wait, am I getting it right? Not hot topic. Hot program. Sorry.
Oh, he's got. Yeah, he probably has another channel.
So a lot of times, so he has like my one black friend come on there pretty regular now and talking.
He's working and lurking. Oh, he's on your channel. He's too good for my channel.
I think he stopped by both.
Oh, okay.
He's spreading the love.
Nice.
Can I ask James a personal question? Well, no, it's not really a personal question. Just make an inquiry.
Sure.
It's a little off topic, but you have a friend who lives in Israel, and I was just wondering how she's doing.
So they're doing okay. Most of the people in Israel are far enough away from all the chaos and the fighting that after the initial shock of what happened and after the army went in and surrounded Gaza, things calmed down in the main territories. They're talking about it constantly. Yeah. And for the most part, people in Israel are blaming their leader, Netanyahu, because he didn't heed the warnings, and he really helped create the situation that led to this. And they just feel like, you know what, we just need him gone. And so it's a bad situation, but
yeah,
they're okay. Other than the initial people that got hurt, like now the fighting's all inside of Gaza. Like there's nothing happening outside of it.
Yeah, I wonder how many Karen is. We haven't heard from him for a long time. He's over there somewhere, and I'm not sure where. And he would have been the type to be at that concert, I think.
It's really ironic that most of the people that got hurt, in fact, all the people that got hurt initially by the terrorists, were friends to Gaza, right? The reason that those people were gathering was to celebrate peace. And the reason it was so close to Gaza is because that was the focus on the peace that they wanted. So here are all these people who specifically are pro-Gaza, pro-Palestine,
yeah,
and those are the people that got attacked by the terrorists from Gaza.
Yeah.
Quite ironic.
That frequently happens.
Yep.
It's the way that terrorism stuff works. Mm-hmm. What the fuck did they think was going to happen? I mean, it's like, it kind of reminds me of when I asked this one really intelligent neighbor why he voted for Trump, and he said, well, because he'd shake things up. And it seems like terrorists, they don't give a shit who gets hurt, who gets killed, how many of their own kind get killed, what the retaliation is, right? They just want to shake things up. I mean, Jesus Christ. When has that ever been a good idea? Just to shake things up.
How's everybody's mythology on the Hydra?
Oh.
Remember the Hydra?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Take off one head and two grow back.
Yep.
That's what I see. Every time they take out one, they're creating two more.
What series just featured that? Chopping something in half and two appeared. Scott, what did we watch? Some big series.
Say the idea is, well, we're just going to go in there and wipe them all out. Even if they wiped every one of them out, they're creating more by everybody that sees, looks at all those young people that are looking around, seeing what's going on. They say, sign me up.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I say, for $4 billion we send Israel every year for military, almost all of it goes to the military. How about we send that to Gaza and be better than?
Yeah, they would have basically stopped this problem in its tracks.
And who are the young people going to look up to?
Yeah.
Hummus, or hey, they're turning the other cheek. They're giving us aid and medicine, and they're rebuilding my house. And I'm just saying, what they've been doing since 1948 hasn't worked. So maybe it isn't going to work again. I could be wrong, but that's my guess.
Yeah, it's a complicated situation for sure. And it's being handled exactly wrong. So what are you going to do?
I say as religious people, they should turn the other cheek, drop everything, wipe the slate clean, and just say, hey, you know what? Let's just start.
Yeah, what if they'd gone over there instead and just offered nothing but aid and jobs for those 70% of the young people that are unemployed?
Yep, exactly.
And said, "Come on over, let's integrate this fucking country."
I look at it just like with the gangs. That's why people go into gangs. They don't have any other opportunities.
Yeah.
When you have social programs that step in, which are always the first ones defunded, but when they introduce social programs, it doesn't work 100%, but you will have some of these young people saying, hey, you know what? I would rather have this job than go into a gang. And that's one less and one less and one less. And that's progress.
How is Leo looking so calm during what Eric is saying here? I don't.
Yeah,
Leo, he came to be professional.
This just proves I'm not equipped for debating, because at immaterial substance, I would have gone, what? What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah,
anyway,
losing my shit about
yeah.
Well, he understands that he's listening to a book report from the kid in the back of the class that eats paste. Right. He understands that this is kindergarten nonsense, and he's not even going to have to break a sweat to tear it down.
Yeah.
But then man, war, what's it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. Why
don't we continue? And I'll try not to balk at it too much, but I'm having spasms over here when I hear the ridiculous.
I had the same thing when he said it, Mike. I didn't interrupt. I was thinking the same exact thing. It's like I would have said, stop right there.
No PhD. Wow. Thank you, Aunt Jer. I thought I knew he talked about apologetics, but I thought it was like for a PhD program. Thank you for letting me know.
Okay, so he doesn't have a big fancy.
What does Biola remind me of? Shinola? Shit from Shinola? I don't know. Shit from Shinola. Biola. Every time you see Biola,
my grandmother used to say the Shinola.
Shit from Shinola?
Yeah. Every time I see a degree from a religious school, I just think it's like a school of Hogwarts. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like my dinosaur hunting license.
Yeah.
I have
a master of divinity, and I don't know what the hell I mastered. It's like,
yeah.
I've got a dinosaur hunting license with an embossed stamp.
Ooh.
Pushed right through the paper. It's legit.
If it's embossed, it's got to be legit.
Still haven't found any dinosaurs. Except when I have chicken.
It must be great to have a master in something that doesn't exist. Masters in something that doesn't exist.
Right.
Isn't that a bit? Yeah. Oh, Aunt Jer's not modded? What?
Aunt Jer used to be a double super mod for fishing out that piece of information. That was what you call
a glitter wrench there.
Yeah, what's it called when you do something without being asked and take the lead and add value?
Awesomeness.
That's awesomeness, yeah.
Yeah, wonderful.
Like Crystal and everybody else out there that's
proactive. There we go.
Yeah. We suck. We're at 4 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is answers to atheism.
Hey, don't feel bad. Mark Reed can spend all night on a video and only get partway through.
Yeah. Okay.
That is to say, the soul is a self, the conscious subject. And with that being said, my case for the soul will be argued in two basic contentions. The first is that consciousness is not physical. That is to say, neither identical nor reducible to anything physical like the brain. And two, that I am more than a brain and body. I am a soul. Now, in order to understand the arguments I'll be providing for these two basic points, it's important to get a foundation and grasp of what is known as Leibniz's law of the indiscernibility of identicals, but for short, we'll just call it the law of identicals.
Let's say that again. Leibniz's indiscernibility. Whatever. I can't even fucking repeat it. I'm choking on it, man. It's just like, oh my god. It's just like he loves to say that.
He's
Shit
trying to
is
make it sound
identical.
legit. Like there's some like next level science involved in this shit.
Yeah. Shit is identical to itself. Why not just say shit is identical to itself?
Identity or Leibniz's law. According to Leibniz's law, if two things in question are the same, say some A and B, then whatever is true of one is going to necessarily be true of the other and vice versa. So in philosophy, when we say two things are identical, we simply mean they're the same thing. And this gives us a test for identity. Because if in principle, you can show that there is something true of one that is not true of the other, or vice versa, then it follows that the two are not the same thing. So with this in mind, we can go to my first basic contention, that consciousness is not physical. And let's say for the sake of argument that Leo is correct and that physicalism is true, which is a view that human beings are purely physical objects composed of purely physical properties and parts. The reason this is important is because if Leo wants to argue that physicalism is true, then he'll have to demonstrate to us that consciousness, if it exists, is identical or reducible to something physical like the brain.
Nope. Something like the brain. Like it ain't just the brain. That's the first trick they pull, is saying, oh, it's just the brain. No, your mind is a lot more than just your brain. And I think Leo points that out.
And given in Leibniz's law, this would mean that whatever is true of the mind must necessarily be true of the brain and vice versa. However, if he cannot demonstrate that this is the case, and in principle, we can show that there is something true of the mind that is not true of the brain, or vice versa, then given Leibniz's law of identity, it would follow that consciousness cannot be identical or reducible to the physical, given that they possess different properties, and thus physicalism would be false. And while there are many ways to show the non-identity between the mind and brain, for the sake of time, I'll just list a few. First, take the state.
Okay, this ought to be good, because now we're talking about properties, right? And so he's got properties of the mind, which he believes are properties of his mind, and then properties of the brain. And he's going to show that they're not identical, and I just love the way he does it.
State of my mind, like my thoughts or beliefs. My thoughts or beliefs could be true or false, but no state or region of my brain is true or false. Now, Leo.
Did you hear that?
Okay, yeah, let's say it. Repeat it.
You gotta do that
slowly.
again. I kind of missed it.
Yes, some of this shit is just goes by so fast, and you need to break it down to realize. Okay, first he got by an immaterial substance, and how that's not the stupidest thing in the world. So, and now we're talking about these other things. What did he just say? Say it slowly.
Okay, let's go through it again here.
My thoughts or beliefs could be true or false, but no state or region of my brain is true or false.
My thoughts or beliefs could be true or false, but no region of my brain is true or false.
What?
That's word salad.
I don't understand what he's trying to say there.
That's word salad.
Oh my goodness, it's fucking hot. Yeah, he came up with that with Tom Jump when I the first time I ever saw this guy, he was talking to Tom Jump. Okay, I can show the non-identity between the mind and brain. For the sake of time, he's going to do it fast. I'll just take the first few or whatever. First, let's see. Take the state of my mind, like my thoughts or beliefs. My thoughts or beliefs could be true or false. Okay, my thoughts or beliefs could be true or false, but no state or region of the brain is true or false. What the fuck?
Nothing. I'm trying hard to find meaning in that.
Yeah, well, he's trying to. He's using this law of the indiscernible, the law of the identity of the what is it? Indiscernibility of now. What the fuck is that law again? Oh my god!
Unintelligibility.
Say it slow.
Unintelligible law.
Yeah.
Anyway, propositions are true or false. Statements about items such as the brain are true or false. So he's right that the brain, nothing about the brain is true or false, but I don't know how that proves his point. It's propositions that are true or false.
Yeah.
Doesn't that?
Well, you could have false thoughts.
Maybe I'm splitting hairs, and
Well, we're looking for meaning. How can we split what we don't? There's nothing there to split. I mean,
Yeah. Is there a distinction without a difference I'm bringing up?
Yeah, are false thoughts true because they're in the brain?
Identity of
just
indiscernibles.
Nonsense.
Say much. Yeah, yeah. Okay, he's going to kind of go on to a few others here, but let's get all the stupid on one plate.
Now, Leo takes a functionalist, physicalist view of the mind, in which mental states are reducible to functions of the brain. But note how the same problem arises. Again, my thoughts can be true or false, but functions aren't true or false. I don't even know what it would mean to say that a function is true or false.
You're the one that said it.
Function is a function.
No.
He's the one that said it and then says, I don't know what that would even mean, the thing I just said. I'm like, then don't say it.
Well, actually, there is a function called the characteristic function that is basically maps to true and false. So he's wrong about that to be in mathematics to begin with. There is such a function. So
function, but toilet flushes aren't true or false. My brain can be 7 inches long, but the
Here we
smell
go.
of a rose.
Wait.
Banana,
How is a toilet flush not true or false? You either flushed it or you didn't.
right. God
That's-
damn,
that's-
you didn't flush
that's-
the toilet again, Bill.
Yeah,
Or Eric.
So is all he trying to say, and I know I said it like an idiot, but is all that he is trying to say is that some things cannot be described as true or false, such as brains. Oh, let me say it again. Brains.
I'm pretty sure we can describe his brain as false.
Yeah. But statements about his brain, such as his brain on philosophy is minced, that could be a true or false statement.
It's pretty minced, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. If that's the distinction he's making, I'm with him, but hurry it up, please.
Yeah, it gets much worse here. But that look he's got on his face right now is pretty indicative of what's going on behind his.
Kind of reminds me of DeSantis without the practice smiles whenever he thought the camera was off of him.
Oh God! Did you see DeSantis?
Cheney in heels.
Did you see DeSantis try to smile?
I did. It's just
Oh my
creepy.
God!
Oh, God.
What a
It's like
creepy
It's like Wednesday Addams trying to smile.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Make her stop. Make her stop.
Oh yeah, DeSantis and Wednesday Addams, except she's a fuck of a lot more clever. I don't know, but anyway, there is a connection there. Okay, listen to this.
true or false. My brain can be 7 inches long, but the smell of a rose or taste of a banana, which is in my mind, is not 7 inches long.
He also said that elephants on T Jump's channel. He said elephants are not 7 inches long. So obviously, your thought of an elephant is not the same as an elephant. I don't. Isn't that what he's saying?
How big is an elephant as an embryo?
Yeah, there you go.
At some
But you're-
point, it was probably 7 inches long.
Yeah. So the banana is. Wait a minute. Are bananas 7 inches long? I think some of them are.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
Moreover, my mental
You're making my back go out, James.
She also said that, yes.
Uh,
You were there?
Oh no.
You heard the legend.
Man, we should just end the
It's
show.
not a
right
legend
there.
unless it's at
Right
least
there, James.
9. It's got to be at least 9 to be a legend.
I think we reached our peak there, James, with that one. We're not going to do any better after this.
All downhill from here.
All downhill from here. Okay, let's listen again.
I don't even know what it would mean to say that a function is true or false. After all, a toilet flushing is a function, but toilet flushes aren't true or false. My brain
Yes,
can be
they are.
They are, yeah. Yeah, fucking Eric.
It's a 1 or a 0. It either flushed or it didn't.
See,
Eric,
that's the
you
argument
didn't
that he gives
flush
his
the
wife,
toilet
and she
again.
says, "You didn't flush the toilet again."
you
He's like,
didn't
"That's
flush
not
the
a true or
toilet,
false
Eric."
proposition."
Yeah,
Flush, Unless you're Trump and have to flush it 10 times because he's
Wonder if
stuffing
you-
documents down the toilet.
Do you think that would be grounds for a divorce if you answered your wife that way?
I think it would.
I think it would.
7 inches long, but the smell of a rose or taste of a banana, which is in my mind, is not 7 inches long. Moreover, my mental states are accessible only to me, whereas my brain states are not. For example, a doctor can open up my skull and look at my...
Wait a minute. So, James, are your brain states accessible to me right now?
Mine sometimes are.
You
Not
want to
reliably.
You want to stop over? I've got a hacksaw, or I've got a
Right.
One of those, yeah. Yeah.
Ah.
Oh my God. This is just really shitty arguments. I can't believe he's still spouting the same stuff. And and it's all based on this kind of sleight of hand, where they're like, people actually listen to this and they say, "Yeah, he's right. He's right." And it's like, oh my God, what a fucking. So your thought of an elephant is not 7 inches long, okay? But your thought of an elephant is not the fucking elephant, dude. I mean, what the fuck?
Right. And it also might be 7 inches long. I mean, we don't know how long the chain of those neural connections are the moment you think of an elephant. We don't know that yet.
Well, pretty much your whole brain lights up in some fashion, to some degree, every time you think of anything. So everything you think of in your brain, that particular function is going to be about 7 inches long. There's going to be an area, right? Or in his case, 5.5 inches, or 4.5 inches long.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure it's all hair and skull up there.
He rounds up for the ladies.
Yeah, he rounds up. Yeah.
my brain, but she doesn't open up my skull and look at my thoughts. This is because consciousness is a first-person, direct, private, or privileged access kind of thing, accessible only to me. So while a neuroscientist can know more about my brain than I do, she could never know more about my mental life than I do. In other words, she can see my brain functions, but she won't see my thoughts. Now, while there are many more examples we can go.
Actually, neuroscientists do occasionally know more about your mental life than you do. They can find things that are affecting you that you are not calling into your consciousness, that you're not aware of. So that's just bullshit right there. I mean, it's just all bullshit. But I can't believe he's using these simplistic philosophy of the mind arguments from 7th grade in a debate with Leo.
Go through. The point is simply this. If all the properties of the brain are physical and all the properties of the mind are not physical, well, then it follows that consciousness, if it exists, cannot.
You're fucking, that's what the debate is about, right? So he's just like asserting that, okay, I'm going to prove that the mind is not physical. And I'm going to do that by saying your thoughts aren't physical, right? I mean, what the fuck?
I mean, I just want to remind him that his thoughts are entirely physical.
He's begging the question, right? He's just asserting that your thoughts aren't physical. Debate over. I won, man. I just told you. You know, it's like there is a soul, obviously.
I guess
Not be identical.
the response you could have to him is, well, the thoughts could be physical.
Yeah.
Therefore, we don't. Yeah, technically, we don't know how to map, individual thoughts out to the brain yet. But there's nothing to say that we can't in the future.
I think they've actually done a little bit of that mapping.
Right.
I mean, they couldn't tell you every single neuron involved, of course, because we don't have the right resolution yet. But yeah,
well, then that's got other gaps, because you can't tell me every last little thing about what every neuron is doing.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if we can get through his opening.
Or reducible to the physical, and if it cannot be identical or reducible to the physical, then it follows that physicalism is false. Now, at this point, it would be crucial to pause and make everyone aware of the fact that establishing a cause or dependence relationship between two things is not the same thing as, nor does it establish identity.
Okay. So here we go. Correlation is not causation, right? But oftentimes what happens is you'll find correlation and you prove it's causation because you come at it from 3 or 4 different angles. And basically, and that shows you that it is causation. So you can prove by poking around, you can prove that something is causing something, that it's not just correlation.
Sure.
Illustrate. Suppose a guitar player pops a string while he's playing the song and is no longer able to continue playing the music. Note how it's easy to establish a cause and effect or dependency relationship between the musician and his instrument, but clearly this wouldn't prove that one is identical or reducible to the other. And similarly, it's easy to establish that you affect parts of my brain.
So, okay, he just proved that music is not the guitar player or the guitar strings. Who the fuck thought it was? I mean...
Right.
It's obviously not identical, so music can't be physical, right? Music must be spiritual. There's no way it could be physical because it's not the guitar player and it's not the strings.
A good point.
Because
That's a good way to put it.
I got the music in me. I got the music in me.
The day the music died. Oh my God. Yeah, there was another series where they had to listen to The Day the Music Died over and over again for months. What was that series, Scott? Boy, you're
I do
useless.
not recall.
You're useless today.
I
Okay.
am, but I don't. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh shit! It was some spy series we just watched. I don't know. It was really a good one. Something about a spy. Anyway, fuck.
Such as with Alzheimer's, narcotics, or brain damage, it will have a cause and effect correlation with the functions of my mind.
Yeah.
But as before, this wouldn't prove that the mind and brain are identical to each other,
Well,
because as I just mentioned, cause
pretty good evidence, right?
or dependence relationship is not the same thing as, nor can it establish identity. So if Leo wants to show that physicalism is true, he's going to have to do far more than show that there's a cause and effect or dependency relationship. At the very least, he's going to have to show that they necessarily share the same properties, and that is that there is nothing true of the mind that is not true of the brain, and vice versa. And unless he can do that, then his belief in physicalism is unjustified. Now,
So there's nothing true of your drive to Walmart. Okay. Okay. Your drive to Walmart has to have the same properties as your car. Otherwise, you're not driving your car to Walmart? Is that kind of what he's saying?
I don't even think he knows what he's saying.
I don't know what the fuck he's saying, but he's doing this whole thing with properties. And when we bring properties into the mix, we've already gone too far. Because what the fuck is a property, right?
Remind me again what this has to do with the soul.
I don't know. He's proving that. Well, he's
Sometimes proving the soul exists, but we're not talking about the soul.
Leo has to explain to him everything about his subjective experience in terms of neuroscience. Otherwise, you lose if you can't tell me everything about it. Like, oh my God, God of the gaps. Yeah, soul of the gaps. Whatever. Okay, he's almost wrapping up.
another thing to briefly mention is the irreducibility of consciousness, which I won't have time to go into detail, but consider what the following 3 atheist philosophers have to say regarding the issue. Atheist philosopher Thomas Nagel has pointed out in his book, Mind and Cosmos, that you cannot get mind from matter. The problem is that you can't simply rearrange particles of matter and get something like consciousness coming into existence any more than rearranging the red bricks of a house will give you the color blue. In other words,
That's
consciousness
ridiculous.
is not something that you...
Nagel,
If Nagel said that, then Nagel was an idiot.
what it's like to be a bat. Well, he's the one that did what it's like to be a bat. He came up with, and I think Nagel reversed a whole lot of this recently or something. No, it was Jackson that reversed his Mary's Room. Nagel is still blathering on, I think.
you get by simply rearranging a physical structure. Hence, atheist philosopher Thomas McGinn says that any naturalistic explanation for consciousness coming from matter would border on sheer magic. And note that to simply point out correlations or call consciousness emergent or supervenient doesn't solve the problem either, because as atheist philosopher Jaguan Kim would argue,
Okay. Call him again is what you call a Mysterian. He doesn't believe that we will ever be equipped to intuitively understand what consciousness is. So he doesn't even think we're ever going to come near it, right? That's his deal. Nagel came up with what it's like to be a bat and ideas about phenomenal versus what the fuck is the other kind of consciousness? It just blew my mind.
I just want to say that consciousness is clearly reducible.
Yeah.
Consciousness is absolutely reducible. So I don't get where he's saying that it's not.
Well, there's another trick here, and that is that word reducible, because they want to reduce it to atoms in motion. Obviously atoms in motion are not my mind, right? Because what they're relying on here is intuition. So if you can intuitively understand how something works, like, okay, is wetness reducible to the chemistry of water? No, it fucking ain't. If you think it is, it ain't. Okay, wetness is a combination of senses from temperature, from context, and slipperiness and pressure. Basically, is how we get the wetness idea. And so you can't reduce it to just chemistry. And that's kind of the trick they're making with reduction. When you think about reduction, what we're saying is that I can give you a story that you will intuitively find to be emotionally satisfying. That's what they're saying. And when it comes to neuroscience of the mind, that is a whole fucking massive science that few people are going to intuitively understand how these neurons or whatever how your nervous system can give you this feeling of mind. So that's what they're relying on, is that your intuition is not going to be satisfied, therefore God. That's it. And I've done a lot of work on how to intuitively satisfy that little itch, scratch that itch. Intuitively scratch an itch is what we're looking for. Okay, Yeguan Kim, he's passed away recently. He was my my philosopher friend's my philosopher professor of philosophy at the college I went to. Kim was his teacher. I'm starting to misfire, guys. Anyway, which is kind of cool. And Kim just died.
Correlations are not explanations, but are in fact the very thing that need explaining. So slapping the label of emergent or supervenient only gives a name to the problem, but it doesn't solve it. Now, using Leibniz's law of...
it does more than give a name to the problem.
Yeah. Yep.
Of identity once again, let's look at the second point, that I am more than a brain and body. To begin with, let's suppose again that Leo's correct, and that physicalism is true. If this is the case, and I am identical and reducible to nothing more than a brain and body, then human beings would be what we call...
What do you mean brain and body? Why do people say that? Don't they realize your brain is in your fucking body?
He doesn't have one. He doesn't know.
And the whole thing, I mean, I'm absolutely certain that I am this organism sitting on this chair right now, right? I can mark the top of my head to the bottom of my toes, and that's me. And, it's not brain and body. I don't take my brain out, and set it in a fucking jar somewhere. It's like... Right. That's another trick. It's another trick to get us intuitively thinking about supernatural things.
Yeah.
Oh, Scott's got a goofy kid. That's too bad. Anyway,
Scott's got a what?
Philosophy.
Oh, you're back. When did you say?
That was like way earlier.
I
so
Dave
like you totally did not pay attention to private chat.
Yeah, no, I do. I never do.
I was looking at the bio page for Eric Hernandez Ministries.
Yeah.
Because it's always interesting to see what these people write about themselves.
Yep.
Eric Hernandez is a dynamic evangelist and apologist with a heart. Sorry, let me say it right. With a heart for proclaiming the gospel and then defending the faith on theological and philosophical grounds. Blah 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 blah. And it goes on to give the same same credentials or whatever that Aunt Jer looked up and found, which is great because that's what he says about himself. He doesn't have a PhD. But it's good to know he's so dynamic.
He is dynamic.
He's reading from notes and in that kind of monotone reading voice. So I'm glad he's so dynamic today.
Yep. Let's listen to him wrap up here.
A mereological aggregate, but we'll just call this an aggregate for short, which is a collection of separable parts held together in a certain structure. So things like watches, cars, or Lego bricks are what you would call aggregate. Again, a collection of several parts held together in a structure. But it's important to note that for aggregates, their existence and identity necessarily depend on their parts and structure. To illustrate, consider this car. If I were to replace the tires of this car, would it still be the same car? But before you answer that question, suppose I were to replace every single...
Okay, now we're getting into the ship of Theseus thing, which is what we did in part 1. So, yeah. Which is really an important part of Moreland's book. I think he's got a whole chapter on this, and I forget what it was. Forget what it was called, but anyway, that's pretty much his opening. Should we run to the end of his opening and see where he goes?
Sure.
Okay. Nut and bolt of this car, every part, windshield, bumper, is it the same car? But before you answer that question, suppose I took those replaced parts, put them back together, and you'll now have 2 cars. And then we could ask which of these 2 is the original, if any. Now, regardless of your answer, one thing is clear, and that is that for aggregates, they do not retain what is called identity through change or part replacement. So with this in mind, consider my first argument. Premise 1, I'm either a purely physical object or an immaterial soul. 2, if I am a purely physical object, then I do not retain identity through change. As a thought experiment, suppose I committed a crime 7 to 10 years ago. It's now known through science that every 7 to 10 years, human beings replace virtually every cell in our bodies. Well, suppose a detective comes at my door and says that they just now found the evidence to convict me. But clearly, I couldn't argue that the person they're looking for no longer exists because that's a different set of properties and parts. Why? Because we all intuitively know that we do retain identity through change and part replacement, and thus it would follow that, therefore, I'm not a purely physical object, therefore, I am a soul.
Man, that's a bad
argument. An argument put forth by secular philosopher Jagon Kim.
What's that?
That's not reasonable. What he's saying is absolutely not reasonable.
No. Yeah, and that's more Moreland's one of Moreland's arguments that he develops pretty extensively, and he does a fuck of a lot better job than Eric Hernandez, is that basically we have this identity. We have this thing that we think of as I. And he goes on to explain how because physical things change and because they're collections of parts and mereology and all this bullshit, we can't possibly be physical things because we keep our identity throughout our life. And we went over that in part 1. We keep our identity throughout our life partly because they name us, right? We're the same organism throughout our life. I don't understand why they think this is a persuasive argument. How is this persuasive? So, anyway, our work is to show a little bit about how brain and body and world make mind. We might kick some things around, and what I'd like to look at is this idea of intuition about how things work. Like when we understand why baking soda and vinegar makes fizzies, right? Why you can make big fizzy volcanoes with baking sodas and vinegar. And we can explain that to somebody, and they'll say, oh, yeah, that makes sense, right? But then when we try to explain how brain, body, and world makes mind, well, we don't know that much about that. So then we intuitively say, oh, I don't know, that sounds funny. How can neurons be the color of red? That sort of thing. Or how can neurons be as big as elephants? It's just these intuitive tricks, right? Because we're not exactly, we have to first understand what the fuck the question is before we go ahead and try to answer it. And these guys set that up so that the question is basically, God exists, so how can God not exist?
Right.
Right? It's like, we're right. How can you not, how can you be right too? It's just like, fuck you. It's like, God damn. Anyway, real simplistic fucking arguments all the time that you get from these philosophers of mine.
Yeah.
Scott,
Well, I want to say, I am either a purely physical object or an immaterial soul. But I say choosing immaterial soul is very arbitrary. You could also say I'm either a purely physical object or a non-existent entity. I'm either a purely physical object or I am, my imagination. That's probably the best or opposite. What's an immaterial soul? You haven't defined it.
Yeah.
You're saying that you're an immaterial substance. That is incoherent. So it's better to say I'm a non-existent entity as the alternative to a purely physical object.
Rectoplasm.
Rectoplasm? Okay, I am rectoplasm. And in so many ways, that could be true.
Well, if all this stuff that makes us is immaterial and spiritual and on and on and on, then why do we have a physical body in the first place?
Yeah.
Identity through change is basically the same as saying our memory banks are a reliable tracker of who I am. But we know that's not true. We know we put together memories incorrectly. We know we remember things the way we want to sometimes. So we don't retain a consistent identity through time. We maintain what we think is a consistent identity through time. Identity is an illusion in the aggregate sense. I would say, So, and plus, is this the same identity as the law of identity? I'm not quite sure.
And if there is something supernatural, we could be both physical and supernatural. They just haven't demonstrated.
Well, if
I am not a purely physical object. Well, like I said, this immaterial soul business is incoherent, and you're not saying anything by it because of that immaterial substance bit.
So there's a lot more. There's a lot more ors you could put in there too, or we could.
Yeah, therefore I'm not a purely physical.
So when you're arguing with a kindergarten mentality, you argue like a kindergartner. So I can, everywhere I go, there I am. Obviously, I'm identical to my body, right? Because we have never gotten out of our bodies. We cannot teleport. We can't, I can't come over and see you guys unless
not even Sunday.
Not even Sunday. Oh. So I mean,
I was hoping you were going to show up here. I really was.
Yeah, I was going to show up. Yeah, I'll teleport over there, and so I'm a body haunted by a soul. Basically that's what they have the problem of trying to tell us why the soul is following the body around all the time. Why is my soul stalking my body? And can I call the police? That's what I want to know. Can I call the police on my soul?
Yeah, I wonder if we could extend our stalking laws to extend to souls.
Yeah, it's fucking haunting me. Everywhere I go, it's there. I don't know. My mind it follows me all the way to Walmart and back. Fucking Sam's Club. I mean,
that sounds like the premise of a great horror movie.
Yeah, where you can
or it was your soul the whole time. They're shadowy, stretched out, skinny, shadow always across the room or across the Walmart or whatever.
Shadow Stalker, based on a true story.
What if your soul was really slow, and like when you went into the kitchen, your soul was just like, oh fuck, okay, I'm gonna get out of the chair now. I'm going to follow you into the kitchen, but it's going to take me 5 minutes to get there. And you're going to be a soulless motherfucker until I get there, right?
My soul's just too damn lazy.
You call a babysitter
doesn't want
to
get out of the chair.
You call a babysitter and tell her they have to babysit for my soul because I'm leaving my soul home today. I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it. So you
Yeah,
sit there
nothing
and
here
babysit for my
has
soul.
convinced me that quote unquote the soul, which is anything that couldn't be described by physical processes, and it's just a catchword for things that we assign to a spirit or a supernatural aspect of ourselves that is just applies to some easily physically explained.
Oh yeah, Scott, but Thomas
Part.
Nagel, Colin McGinn, Yegon Kim. I mean, there you go, man. They said this stuff.
Has he said that the soul resides inside of us, or is it like our shadow that just kind of?
Yeah, is it associated with us or is it inside us?
Right.
Is it like sedimentary?
Because if it's not
rock?
physical, if it's not physical, why does it have to be in us? It can just be like an aura or something, hanging around your outside.
Hey, the Raging Atheist is here.
Hello, Raging Atheist.
Leo is so tiny. A giant Leo is just a tiny person. Oh no. Okay.
When he debated Destiny, either Destiny a giant or Leo is just a tiny person. Oh, Destiny is a giant or Leo is a tiny person.
Leo packs a lot of brains.
Step away from the pipe.
Small frame.
Rage.
Don't underestimate.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. I'm pretty burnt. But there's just a whole lot to unpack with this thing. One thing that I would like to do at some point is have a conversation. And I've been trying to get some of these fucking dualists over here, or even some physicalists over to kind of lay out some of this stuff. Like, what is the question? What are we talking about when we're talking about our minds? Everybody knows what the mind is, but nobody wants to fucking lay it out and, like, think about a thought. Have a thought. Think about your car, right? Okay, describe that to me. Tell me what that thought is like. What's its shape? What's its duration? What is its intensity? What are all the things you can tell me about your thought of your car? And most likely what you're going to come up with is some sort of, like, you have an image of your car, right? But it's not a real good image because when you think about it, you're leaving a lot of detail out. You may be thinking of the word car, or the word or the phrase my car. That may be part of your thought. But what are all the parts of your thought? And when we think about what our mind is, how come we never spend any time detailing that landscape? Well, I have, boys and girls. I've spent a lot.
I'm going to put the link out there.
Yeah,
Deconverted Man wants to give his views on it, and others on this topic, and others may as well.
Yeah, and I need to shut up for a while because I'm getting my nappy.
I was just going to ask that.
Well, if Mike's getting tired, like, maybe we should call it quits then.
Well,
Mike's always tired.
Yeah, I was thinking about driving up to Minnesota and slapping him a couple times to wake him up.
I get tired every 2 hours. You notice most of my shows are 2 hours. I get tired.
Yeah. You're like a cat.
And I go to sleep. And then I wake up. Yeah, my cats do that too. So maybe, God, are these cats controlling my mind?
You're on their sleep schedule.
I am on their sleep schedule. Yeah. Well,
that's
night,
what mine does. I don't hardly see her.
Yep, they disappear during the day pretty heavily. We don't get along on one thing. They are nocturnal and I am diurnal, because at night from like about 1 o'clock until 4 in the morning, I like to sleep. But other than that, we get along really well. We nap together.
Do your cats do laps around the house in the middle of the night too?
Oh fuck! At 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, you hear this thump 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 thump.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck's going on?
I've got like 100 springs on the linoleum floor up in the kitchen, which is right above my bedroom. And Snack goes up there and bats those around for about an hour and a half. And you swear somebody's breaking in the house. And then he runs into a wall and like thump. You can hear him, and then there's a little pause, and then scurries back. It's just amazing. Anyway, pretty cool. But it's because I'm a stoner.
So tell us, Mike, do you want to close out soon, or do you want to have people on?
Well, no, we'll have some people in. If we get people in, I'll just keep my mouth shut for a little bit and drink some coffee.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I wonder if maybe Jay's still here. I don't know.
Yeah,
well, the converted man wanted to come in, but it may be that there's Captain Death.
Hey, Kentucky Atheist.
I don't know which channel he's on.
So KA, I sent you an email about Sunday. So I really don't care about capitalism versus socialism. It's like,
Jay says he's working at the moment.
Here's deconverted man.
Oh.
Bah, bah.
I can't. Wait, how do I?
God, I would just love to fucking get stoned with you. You know that?
I don't do drugs or anything like that. But when if I stay awake long enough, I get really wacky. So
you don't have to do drugs.
You just want to be on drugs. I just want to do them around you, right? You want me to like analyze something for long enough to where I just start losing it.
Yeah, I think drugs would probably.
Oh my God!
Drugs would probably sober you up. We wouldn't want that.
They'd be like really quiet.
Yeah,
wouldn't say anything.
What would deconverted man be like if he was mellow?
You don't want that. Nobody wants that. Well, I don't know. Maybe somebody wants it.
What is your 2 cents, DM?
Oh man, I have sense here.
You have many cents.
I have many. Hopefully, I can make sense of this broken ass argument.
Oh, you got
Apparently, he brought a presentation with him.
Yeah, well,
So, how can I make the presentation bigger? There it is.
Like
somebody said Leo was too small, so let's make him bigger.
Okay.
There we go. All right, there we go. All right. That's better. That's better. Okay, we don't. All right, we don't need him. Leo, how's it going? Okay, anyways. No, he has no head. Oh my God, what have I done? Anyways, sorry. Okay, identity through change, whatever the plate this is. So P1's just a false dichotomy. Is there other options available? Possibly. Maybe you're both a physical object and a material soul. Like, maybe you're both. Like, why isn't that a possibility? Then P2's false. You don't maintain identity because otherwise you'd be a baby brain. You'd be like, right. The you that you are now is different than the you that you were yesterday and the day before, and it gets less you the further back we go. And we have all sorts of things that show this. There was that. I'd have to find the thing, but there's at least one paper that talks about a brain hemisphere being split in half and how the person is spoken to responds in different ways depending on the question. And the left brain is an atheist and the right brain is a theist. And they are not the same person that they were before their brain was split. And of course you have amnesia victims, or amnesia suffering. I don't know what you would call it. Somebody with amnesia, and so amnesia. There you go. Yeah, there you go. That's the word. Thanks. So that is the person where they lost their identity, that they're not the them that they were, And then you have that way ancient one that was way back in Western era, where the guy had a railroad spike go through his head and became a real jerk to everybody.
Phineas Gage.
Yeah, Phineas Gage. So you don't maintain identity at all. So that's just P2 it's not true. So then the rest fails anyways. I can't find anything. P3 is fine, whatever. But then of course it's non sequitur because of the false dichotomy, and also because P2 is not true. So that's a problem. That's it. There's you go. So just really, this is it. This is your only fallacy per se. but then it's just not true that you maintain identity unless what you mean by identity is something I don't even know. Like, what you still think of yourself as you? Then I guess sure. But then what do you do with the person that there are those? I forget what they call it, but there's a psychological thing where like the person sees himself as what they aren't.
Yeah.
There's that man that saw his wife as some book that's like the man who thought his wife was a coat rack or something like that. There's a book like that talks about somebody that suffered with a disconnection of the external world and how they inputted it into their brain, where they couldn't recognize people as people. They saw them as like objects or something.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Oliver Sacks who wrote that book about the thinking they were a hat stand or whatever?
Yeah, that's what I'm referencing. I don't remember the name of the book, but
there's something called
there's
something called Kapgra syndrome, KAPGRAS syndrome, where you think everything that you see is an imposter. But you don't think that like okay, this guy would talk to his wife on the phone, he'd be fine. But when she came to visit him, he'd say, "That's not my wife." So he didn't believe what he was seeing, but he could believe what he was hearing.
And then there's also synesthesia. I can't pronounce the damn word.
Synesthesia.
Whatever. I'm never going to pronounce it. Yeah, so, like, what do you do with that? I mean, there's just all sorts of counter examples, but you'd say, well, those don't count. That's just the equipment breaking down because they view the brain as, like, a receiving station for the soul's transmission or something. You know, that we're a meat puppet, puppeted by a soul that you can't see.
And speaking of deconverted man, as a believer, where did you believe the soul resides at?
That's a good question. I don't think I thought of it that deeply, because you don't really think about those sort of things in that way. I suppose I might have said the heart, because that was like, you're always talking about the heart this, the heart that, like,
the figurative heart.
Yeah, but like you didn't, like, I don't know, when I was younger, I didn't think of the heart in that figurative sense. I thought of it like, the little, the drawing that we do,
It's kind of weird, like when it was inside us, we don't think of it as having any kind of dimensions. But as soon as we think of our disembodied soul, we think it's the same height and
I guess then I would have thought of it probably in my head later on in life. But I did, when I did go by Infinite Hope, I did have a video. I think I've already put it up on one of the past April Fools. Maybe I could be wrong, but it was an argument that I thought was really good, called the Avatar of Self, which is basically, I would dare say, a better attempt at what this guy is doing. Because what this guy's doing, I hopefully would have never said that you couldn't use science to figure it out, because why not? Who knows? Maybe we just don't have the science yet. We'll figure it out tomorrow. I wouldn't have been against that. But the Avatar of Self is just kind of based on the fact that, well, we're all avatar names, our name may or may not match our real name in real life. Deconverted Man is not my actual name, nor is Dan Green, but I go by Dan Green. That's my pen name. But so it's not necessarily an image, it might just be a name that you're seeing. And so those are our avatar. Nerdy wrote it, looks like a rodent, probably not a rodent in real life, more than likely. Could be wrong about that.
I've seen him. He looks like a mouse.
He does look like a computer robot mouse of some sort. So.
On Monday morning, he looks like a mouse that my cats have played with all weekend.
Yeah.
That is a good point that Scott made. We picture our soul like a ghost, right?
Yeah. So that avatar self that we see on the screen, that's not really me, because I'm typing on the keyboard, or I'm, and so then the real me that you see is also not the real me, because the real me is abstract, one step upwards from that, so that my soul is the one that's typing on the keyboard of the me that you see, and so that's the avatar of self, But all that's, whimsical way of thinking about it, imaginative way of thinking about it, but you couldn't demonstrate that that's what's going on. There's no way.
You've never heard of any consistency across any faiths or anything of where it's actually located. It's just kind of up in the air type of thing.
Well, it's the bond.
Man, I think there was I want to say the Inuit people thought it was the breath. They saw it coming out because of the coldness, and that they might. I don't know if that's where the Ashu came from, or if that predates that. But I mean, I think that the breath might have been a very common one. I don't know that it would be universal across the board, though. But
sounds like a video. Sounds like a video topic for you, DM. Where is the soul?
Well, they did do. Now, somebody said if only they measured it. There was. I remember reading about
7 grams.
There was somebody that they had all these table nurse beds, hospital beds during one of the plagues or whatever, and somebody decided to make it into a scale, and then they would weighed the person, and when the person expired from the sickness, they didn't know what to do with it, so they were just there to die, basically.
That was done in Nazi Germany.
Well, yeah. So I mean, but I think it was done in other places too. But
right.
It was whatever the weight was. There was a weight loss.
It was 7 grams.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I had a really good scale, and I weighed myself before I got into the tub, and then I got into the tub and I read a bunch of a book, and stayed in there for about an hour and weighed myself when I got out, and I was definitely like a half a pound heavier when I got out of the tub.
So you think?
Of course, there was water sticking on my skin and in my hair.
Yeah.
So one of the explanations is
well,
one of the explanations.
You know what happened when you're dirty, your soul goes away, and then when you take a bath, it comes back.
Right.
One of the explanations is evaporation too, because
There's
like they said, they were sweating like crazy before they passed away.
Right, well, and there's all sorts of air and who knows, liquids, and but it wasn't a scientific experiment because they're not in controlled conditions.
And the scale was like a bathroom scale.
Yeah, it wasn't very.
Next time I get a colonoscopy, I'm going to ask the doctor: could you check and see if my soul is up there somewhere?
Yeah, like have you
he's gonna you know what he's gonna tell you? We know where your head is, Mike.
Have you seen?
I'm gonna walk right into that one.
I know exactly. Okay, I know exactly what my doctor's gonna say because he said it before. Nurse, give him some more. Basically, give him some more fentanyl.
Why is there a rubber duck in here?
It's still talking. Give him more.
Yeah, it's still talking. Give him more. Like
small business opportunity here. We could open up the Institute for Spiritual Proctology and
search for the soul.
The condition of people's souls. Yeah, search their souls.
Well, I can tell you it's not the other way because I had the scope down my throat when I had stomach.
I had both,
and I saw the pictures. They give you the pictures.
I want to comment
and
on
all
something.
I saw was a bunch of pink tissue and nothing that looked like me or a ghost or anything was in the stomach. So.
Yeah, I was watching the monitor and I was like, oh my God, this is like National Geographic. What's around that corner? And the doctor said to the nurse, give him some more. and they gave me some more and then I shut the fuck up. Anyway,
okay, so but yeah, I mean, if there was a thing soul, there'd be some way that it would have to interact with the physical world, and that would be measurable at some level.
Yeah, they call it
where now I find it fascinating, like where a thought begins is something I don't know that they know the answer to, or there is an answer to. It's like before I think about moving my arm. How did I think about thinking like I'm just moving my arm? I'm not like thinking, hey, arm move, like actively in my head out loud the way I can think other things out loud in my head. I just moved my arm.
Right.
But but like, how did that thought start? Yeah. How am I talking? Like, how does any of this work? I don't know.
And
How are you even alive?
How am I alive? I don't know. It's amazing. Yeah, you can't.
And
You
how
don't.
the fuck does the soul forget memories?
Yeah, you
How
don't
does
get
the
to,
soul
like.
do that?
Why can't you just, like, you don't know what's going on, like, inside your body. Like, you're not aware of where cell number 5,000 in your body is. It's like, hey, what's going on, red blood cell? Why can't I talk to that? Hey, pain, I know you're there. Yes, I'm aware. My foot hurts, brain. I know. You can cut it off now. I'm fully aware. I need to get the nail pulled from my foot. Okay, I'm working on it. Can you turn off the pain for now? Why can't you just do that, right? So if you were, like, somehow disconnected, from that, you could, why couldn't you disconnect? Of course, they do the astral projection, and then the near death thing, which has just not been. The NDR has the metadata study that I've looked at for the NDR stuff. I've read that, and there's absolutely nothing that confirms it even a little. They have multiple hospitals have one or two or three possible ways that it could be shown to be real, where they'll have a shelf with something inside of a box that you could only see if you levitated up there or you climbed up there with a ladder, or they have a piece of paper that's taped to the top and there's something drawn on the other side. And in every single NDR case where this has been a possibility, there has not been a single report.
Have
back.
you seen how they reproduce the near-death experiences?
Oh, I think that they can reproduce it by lack of air, or
no, they have a hat that they call it.
The God helmet. That's something different as well.
Yeah.
The God helmet's a whole nother different and interesting phenomenon, because not only can they make you feel like you feel God, but what I found interesting about that when I researched that a little bit more was they actually did it within a placebo God helmet, where they just told people that it was a God helmet, and they report feeling God. And it's like, well, there you go. It's just the brain. That's it. You're making yourself feel this. And, that doesn't mean that there couldn't be a thing that's really out there, but it does kind of show that if
there's no evidence of such.
Yeah, it's just basically, you could say, well, maybe it's still out there, but then the problem is, when you have a natural explanation for the thing, then that's probably the explanation for the thing. As you guys were saying, like, there's no the supernatural. It's just a word for magic, because there isn't that category. Isn't even a category yet.
In this hospital. In this hospital where they ran that experiment with putting something up in a box on a top shelf or something, do they go through a speech going like, I don't know, I kind of feel awkward asking this, but if you should happen to die, make sure you go to that corner and read that box.
With the metadata, I don't know, because the metadata, I'm not that you guys don't know what a metadata study is, but in case somebody out there doesn't want to Google it, it's a study on studies. So the metadata study wouldn't go into the details, and even a regular study wouldn't necessarily go into those sort of details. It's just primarily the near-death experience NDEs are recorded. The person will say, hey, I saw something, and the nurse or the doctor or somebody will say, okay, that's nice, whatever, but if they want it recorded, then they'll record it. The patient has to ask for it. So there's probably lots of stories where we never hear anything about it because of medical privacy, where the person says, hey, I had this experience, but they don't want it. They don't say, hey, record this, or whatever. So you have to actively ask for it to be thing. It's kind of like, I guess you could have it as part of your will or your living will. You could say, hey,
Yeah,
if I ever go under and I'm dead on the table, let me know when I wake up so I can tell you what I saw.
There's a
Yeah,
supposedly
that kind of
peer-reviewed
implies
journal about this.
Why does the brain look like a chicken? That's what I want to know.
And you also have a lot of the claims have been disproven. So
I wanna-
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
to add that into it too.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that they'll say, "Oh, well, I heard that the doctor said this or that," and
The famous tennis shoes on the roof story.
yeah, it's like it turns
But it
out
turned
that
out the tennis shoes were actually on a window ledge across the street.
Yeah.
So
the reporting is rather lackluster in many of the NDE stuff, and when they do scientific control, the phenomenon simply vanishes, and that's to be expected.
I heard that one guy talk about his NDE, and he said the angels were all dressed in something that looked like hospital scrubs. And it's like, what? You're in a
I
hospital.
thought that they were the damn demon aliens. Darn it.
Guys,
No.
okay, this is a teachable moment, okay? This is your brain, okay? This is
Looks
the
like a
front of
chicken.
this is the front of your brain here, and this is the back of your brain. This is called the occipital lobe. In the occipital lobe, in this part, is something called your primary visual cortex. And it's kind of like all wrinkled up, like brains are kind of all wrinkled up. But if we were to take that and we were to flatten it out, okay, it would look kind of like about the size of, I think, a pizza box. And if we flattened it all out, and what would happen is the things that are in the upper left would be right here, and the upper right here, and lower left of your visual field. So they can actually put electrodes on that, and it maps to what your eyeball is seeing. Basically, that's an eyeball. Is that an eyeball? Yeah. So it maps architect. That looks like
a.
Is there a glory hole in this illustration?
Anyway, I can't draw. Anyway, okay, now listen carefully. Okay, listen carefully to this. Okay, so anyway, this is the upper left, this is the upper right, lower left, lower right of your visual field, right? When you go unconscious, your occipital lobe basically goes unconscious from the outside in, okay? When it goes unconscious from the outside in, you lose your peripheral vision. So your vision starts to tunnel inward. Tunnel. Okay? And what's at the very end? A big, huge white flash where your visual cortex isn't getting any information but white light, and it's in the center. That's the last thing to go unconscious. When you blip out, if you've ever had nitrous oxide enough to make you unconscious, you'll lose peripheral vision. Your vision will get constricted down into a little tiny center of light. And
What happens when I pass out?
It looks like a tunnel with a bright light at the end of it. Yep. This is a physical thing that we've shown to be true. And this is why when you have an NDE, you're remembering when you went unconscious, basically, which is the last thing you're going to remember. None of your memories are put down while you're dead. They're all put down before you go unconscious and afterwards. And there's that trace memory of you're basically seeing a white light at the end of the tunnel. And that's why so many people see a white light. So that is a fucking neuroscientific explanation.
And then the other thing we have to consider is the fact that the majority of cases is that if somebody dies on the table, that they don't see anything, therefore they don't report anything. So what is it that the story will be? I saw nothing. No, there won't even be a story. So that goes unreported. So you're only seeing the hits. You're not seeing
the
majority of time where nothing happens.
And there are different stories too.
Yeah, the religious people are going to wake up. They're going to hear that they almost died or that they were dead for a while, and they're going to make up a fucking story. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
A lot of the things are, I could hear people talking, and the ears are one of the things that don't shut all the way off. That's why an alarm clock wakes you up.
Have they ever figured out if people hear during comas or not? Because I know that was
yes.
Some do.
Yeah.
It depends on what.
Depends on the coma.
Yeah, but so hearing, when they say I heard the doctors talking, That's easily explained, as they just weren't under enough.
Yeah.
And the ears were still working, just like when you're sleeping. Again, you hear the baby cry, you wake up. You hear the alarm clock or the smoke detector, whatever, you wake up, right? Because
Yeah.
your ears are still working.
Well, I put into the private chat
At least somewhat. I'm not sure on the specifics. At least somewhat.
A perfectly legitimate YouTube link to a perfectly safe video about a sci-fi thing where they do like where they try to like trap a soul and do all that stuff. I swear it is not anything else, and I don't know why anyone would think that.
I don't know why I would open that link. I don't know. Okay,
don't do it. Don't do it.
It's fine. No, I swear it's what it is. It's just that one time, and I didn't even put a link. I just told you not to do it.
I've got my attorney on speed dial. I'm communicating with him right now.
I told you not to do it. Damn it! I'll never live it down.
So has anyone looked at the supposedly peer-reviewed journal?
To what?
What was that?
There's a peer-reviewed journal about souls and NDEs.
Yeah. Well, I read I've read a metadata study. I haven't read them all, but I mean, I did read one.
It's heavily biased.
Oh well, yeah, I did. I have found ones that where they all are like really all positive. Those are usually on religious websites. But if you
it's peer reviewed by the editor.
Yeah, if you find an actual metadata study on the NDE studies that have been done that is legitimate, it's basically what we'd expect from normal brain activity doing what it does. It doesn't seem like there's any actual going out of the body happening. So, all right.
Well, when you go ahead, sorry.
I put it in the description there. Deacon Rudin, this video. Short film, Laboratory Conditions.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, I thought.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Okay,
you know.
There's one thing that I wanted to cover before we wrap Eric Hernandez up. So the book he's going from is basically, what the hell is it? The Substance of Consciousness by Moreland and some other tosser. And Chapter 7... Chapter 7 talks about the mereological essentialism and the diachronic endurance of the soul. All that is mereological is, the study of parts and pieces, and diachronic means, across time, that sort of thing. So he could have said that a little simpler. The soul persists across time, and it's one chunk. It's always in one place. It's never separated into parts, right? Which is called ME, or mereological essentialism. But anyway, if you go through this chapter and you look at all the stuff, you can see all of Eric Hernandez's arguments, the philosophy that it's really based on. And these guys, they tend to toss around a lot of words, and they make a convoluted case for bullshit, basically. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out there. And I linked the name of that book in the description. So
I believe it was Houdini that had said that he would do everything he could after his death to contact his wife, and after however many years she publicly announced,
with a secret word that only they knew.
Yeah, and that she announced, okay, this isn't happening and hasn't happened, and yeah, so I mean, I and like you would think that there'd be like at least one skeptical ghost out there trying to be found. I don't know. Anyways, guys, thanks for doing stuff. Keep going. Bye, guys. Later. Bye.
Because even in the movie Ghost, they managed to move some things.
Yeah, because I mean, now see, the problem I have with Ghost is he jumps through the train to the other train, right? But here's the thing. He does that before he learns how to move stuff. So why didn't he sink through the floor until he hits the center of the earth? Yeah.
Plot hole.
Plot
hole.
Yeah. All right. All right. Bye, guys.
Still a pretty good movie, though. Pretty good.
Yeah. Good movie. Later. Bye, everybody.
Later, man.
I regret everything.
Ghosts can only go through things horizontally, not vertically. Gravity works basically.
Right.
Yeah, that's how that works. That's why they can stand on the floor but walk through walls. So when I was a little
And
kid,
they're always dressed,
just
and they're
drive
always
me-
dressed in what they were wearing in a painting that they
Yeah.
only wore for the painting. They never wore it in their
Right.
daily lives.
Yeah. When I was a little kid, that used to drive me nuts that ghosts didn't fall through the floor. I'd be like, Dad, what the fuck? Dad.
I don't know how
Shut
many
Now,
stories.
didn't Bill Cosby do the one where his legs were in the floor when he first became a ghost?
Try to figure it out.
I think
Yeah,
it was.
I was
Yeah.
thinking somebody their head was poked through the floor or something too.
Yeah,
and-
Yeah.
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 That sinking feeling when your soul is loose from your body. So anyway,
I don't know how many ghost stories start out that I saw the ghost and it looked just like the painting in the lobby. Well, there
Yep.
you go. You saw the painting in the lobby, so that's what you dreamt about. 2
so
+ 2.
Kentucky atheists. So we're doing a thing on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We're going to talk a little bit about addiction and atheism, and maybe how they try to
Yep.
put religion into recovery.
Right. I'd like to do a little research on something called Teen Challenge, which is a Minneapolis-based recovery thing that took over. I think it's worldwide now, and they are fucking assholes. They are really assholes, and I'd like to talk about them a little bit. Yeah. Recovery in AA. My experience with AA. Fortunately, I was an atheist and a bit of a Buddhist when I got into AA, so AA made sense to me, and I never. And in Minnesota, if you say Jesus during an AA meeting, it's kind of considered faux pas. You're looked at.
You got to come here.
Yeah, it's a little different in Kentucky, I'm guessing. Yeah, and like I went to meetings even in Ohio, and I was kind of surprised that the God thing didn't come up that much in Columbus. Of course, Columbus might be a liberal island in Ohio. I don't know.
I lost
I'm pretty
my
sure
brother, and I will tell anybody, even as a non-believer, if it takes Jesus and Jesus AA, whatever, go do it, please.
Yeah,
we
right.
can we
Well,
can
oh,
discuss
yeah, yeah.
Jesus another day. Take care of that, and whatever gets you healthy again and straight again, go do that first.
But
priorities are first.
There's a really good reason why you might want to rethink that, because I've seen a number of people that have gone the heavy Jesus Christian route, and they
losing my brother put my mother in the grave. She went downhill and died right after my brother did, and I think that
let me explain.
If he would have been,
quick.
even
There's
if he'd been Jesus, I gotta say that it wouldn't have put my mother in the grave so fast.
Yeah, the people that get too heavily into prayer groups and Jesus in conjunction with AA, I've seen a number of them disappear and go get drunk again.
Well, you know what today is?
What is today?
My brother's birthday.
Oh, it's my mom's birthday today. She would have been 104.
My brother didn't make it to 50.
Yeah, my mom would have been.
So,
my mom made it to 90. So
if you want to live past 50, please get some help, please.
Yeah. So there's a body, ASAM. I think it's the American Society of Addiction Medicine, maybe.
Okay.
And they publish stuff that is evidence-based recovery, is what it is.
Okay.
And when you look at the statistics of programs that don't include religion as part of the program versus ones that do, of course, you find that the religious ones have a very, very low success rate.
Yeah.
Now, let me say this. If you get well, however you did it was the right way. But whenever these places introduce Jesus and stuff, it allows people to take accountability off of themselves and put it in their imaginary friend.
Yep.
Some places are limited though to what access they have, and it might just be religious based.
When they talk of this, submit to a higher power, and you can do it that way, and all this, that's not really effective anyway, because in the end, they still make it about God. 12-step programs have actual steps that you can't do without a belief in some supernatural power.
I would suggest options
We'll talk
as a
about that
non-believer.
We're going to talk about that on Sunday because
Yeah, right. Because there have been secular versions of it
Yeah.
put out that,
Yeah,
that are effective.
I would surely go with, suggesting that. I'm just saying from my heart
Well,
that my brother isn't around.
Jesus
All I
fucking
can
Christ.
think of is I would rather him thumping a Bible and we could be discussing it right now rather than not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
definitely. If you're going to, drugs are only going to lead you to death. Or prison, maybe.
My brother was Jack Daniels.
Yeah, alcohol.
Too much.
I don't include alcohol,
Jack
and I
Daniels.
probably should. I say very little of alcohol, and I should probably talk more about that. I actually discuss things with several groups that do this and taking place in marches and all kinds of stuff.
I could tell you that for a fact, there's a reason they call it rot gut. That stuff put a bunch of holes in my brother's guts, and it poisoned him.
Yeah. It's poison.
Yeah, my ex, her liver went when she was 68. She got up from a nap and fell over dead just instantly. And it was like and when I cleaned out her closet, she had 6. I think they were either 2-quart or gallon. It was like a case of vodka, right? Like big, huge fucking bottles of vodka. And one of them was missing, and she had 5 left when she died.
Well, my mother always didn't understand that. Well, what are you talking about? He only had 1 drink. And it's like, mother, that's straight. Ain't no mix in that glass.
Right. 1 drink.
He had 1 drink, about 10 shots in that drink. I would be vomiting all over the place if I would have drank that.
Let's try to get into that heavily on Sunday because I got that. There's so much that needs to be said.
Yeah, it'll be open to anyone who wants to jump in and say whatever you want to say. There's a few people that I've invited, and other than that, though, if somebody has something they want to come in and say, I'll pin it in the chat, and anybody that wants to say something can.
Yep. So I'm going to link that ASAM.
And like I always tell people, even if you're down and out about yourself, remember somebody loves you. And like I say again, losing my brother put my mother in the grave. My mother was in pretty good condition, and she deteriorated before my eyes after her child.
Yeah.
Think about your loved ones, even if you're just like, man, I don't even care about myself anymore. Just stop for a minute and think about somebody loves you, your mother, your brother. I want to talk about football. I want to tell my brother the Pittsburgh Steelers suck. And I can't do that. And I can't hear back the Dolphins suck. I would give anything, almost anything, just to hear that again. So
yeah.
And my brother and I had problems. We weren't real tight. We weren't real close brothers or anything. But it was my brother. It was my little brother. It's not my older brother. This is my little brother.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's a crying shame.
I agree completely.
And if you can't think of anybody that loves you, anybody that's listening, I love you. All right? Got that? I love you. Okay? Get some help.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about that too, about what addiction does to you as far as who you love and what you love, and it's some pretty amazing brain science involved in that.
Yes,
and
there's a French guy that does an excellent presentation about it, and it's easy to understand, but he explains like the technical parts of what it physically does to the brain and why drug addicts pursue drugs, and it's very interesting. I'll find a link and put up for it. I've got links for the suicide hotline and drug abuse hotline and everything already put in the description.
Okay,
but I'll find that and add to it.
I was doing pretty good on the sniffles. I was getting over this cold, feeling pretty good, and now I just got all upset. Now my nose is all
Mr. Daskets, what the bad?
Hey, back.
Anyway, I kind of want to shoot her in the head, guys.
I want to say happy birthday to my brother. Rest in peace.
Happy birthday to your brother.
Rest in
Yeah,
peace.
happy birthday to your brother. Yeah, my mother, who would have been 104.
Yeah.
That's fucking amazing. My dad would have been like 106. That means I'm really fucking old. God damn it.
Yep.
Anyway, you ready, guys? Ready to shoot her in the head?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go
Yeah,
ahead.
thanks for
and,
having me on.
say
Good
goodbye to
talking
our
with
side
y'all.
chat.
What's that?
Talking with y'all.
Yeah, and be
I
sure
see
to
you back.
Go ahead.
Everybody in the chat, thanks for stopping by on both channels. Appreciate everybody.
Yeah, cool. And tune in Sunday.
You too, James.
Kentucky Fried Atheist?
Yeah, you too.
Is it?
James, thanks for hanging out with us the whole time.
Yeah, James, what the hell? You stuck it out.
Yeah, I mean, I had you guys kind of minimized on the browser while I did other stuff, but I'm glad to be
we
here.
are
Minimized.
I want you to know you were minimized.
Minimize you. Yeah, well,
we need Deconverted Man back in here with his. Yeah, we'll get Deconverted Man back in here, and he'll cut up James' picture there.
Fair.
Okay, guys, we're shooting her in the head. Goodbye, cruel world.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.